me know that you're okay.
A small town disappearance.
It was all my parents could think about.
The only word there is to describe it. Torture.
A web of deceit.
The question is, why is he lying?
Multiple suspects.
Everywhere we turned, people had motives.
Every one of them caught on camera.
This is crazy.
Crimes aren't spectator sports. Nobody's usually there.
Only CCTV can reveal who is guilty.
If there's one thing that can help crack a case, it's a video camera.
This could be the answer to the entire case.
April 11th, 2008. Glendive, Montana. It's a typical Friday evening, and 34-year-old medical transcriptionist Susan Casey is looking forward to a night out.
She was starting to, date and look at opportunities of finding love again.
Recently separated from her second husband, Ted Casey, Susan is enjoying her new lifestyle.
Things seemed to be going very good for her. She just seemed to be doing great.
She moved into an apartment and the kids went with her.
Susie had 4 kids, Mariah and Shay from a previous marriage, and then she had Charlie and Kiana. And she loved her kids and would do anything for them.
Oh, you made me toast?
Mom,
Susie was an outgoing, happy person, and she was a tease.
How did you know I was hungry? You're a mind reader.
She was very involved with Mariah, her oldest daughter. She was like almost a little Susie herself. Sorry.
Okay.
Tonight, Mariah and Shay are staying at home alone, while the youngest 2 girls are at their dad, Ted's house.
That's on you, okay? Yep.
Susie was ready to move on, go on to the next chapter of her life, and be happy with her kids.
But come morning, there's a problem.
Mom, are you there?
Mom, it's me. Mom, seriously, pick up.
Hello?
Mariah called and said, Grandma, Mom hasn't come home yet, and I'm really worried because she's never done this before. She's always called us whenever she was going to be really late. So she was really scared.
Marlene contacts Susan's best friend and sister-in-law, Val.
Hello? We know Susie. She would come home. She would be there for her kids no matter what. Her phone was like her lifeline.
Susan, it's Val. Where are you?
It was very rare that she would ever not answer her phone. And so I knew that there definitely was something wrong.
Val heads directly to Susan's apartment on West Bell Street.
Susie was not there, but nothing seemed like it was out of place. Kind of went into like detective mode, and I was gonna backtrack her steps and find her.
Though they are separated, Val starts by calling Susan's husband, Ted Casey. But he's not seen Susan since she dropped their daughters off at his place yesterday evening.
I asked Mariah, well, where was your mother last night? She said she went to Linda Gay's.
Val reaches out to her and learns that Susan left Linda's house at around 9:30 p.m. to go and meet her new boyfriend.
Your adrenaline starts to rush, and when you know something is wrong, it just doesn't feel right.
So Val contacts Susan's new flame, Brad Holzer.
I said, "Where is Susie? She didn't come home last night." And he addressed me, "Yeah, she did come home. I'm the one who dropped her off at 5 a.m.
All right.
That's when we realized that we needed to report her missing.
Glendive Police in Dawson County head straight to Susan's apartment.
Thank you so
They
much.
need to retrace Susan's movements from the night before.
Of course. What was most concerning about this case is the fact that she had not been in contact with her children, which was so unlike her that something had to have happened to her.
Do you know where she was going?
To her friend Linda's house?
Linda who?
Linda Gay.
Detectives drive across town to Linda Gay's house.
Hello,
Hello.
Linda. When was the last time you saw Susan?
She came out to my house and we sat and visited for a little while. Susie told me about Brad Holzer, about how she was dating him and what a nice guy he was, and he treated her really nice and he made her happy. She received a phone call. Hi. And she came back and said, "Oh, well, I'm going to meet my guy friend in town."
Is everything okay?
Susan left around 9:30 p.m. to go and meet her new flame. So detectives head straight to his place.
He was the last person possibly to see her alive, so let's check out his story.
Upon arrival, detectives discover something surprising.
Just want to shut this door because my wife's...
Brad Holzer is a married man.
Brad was married at the time of Susan's disappearance. They had 3 children together.
Is that a dog?
Brad claims that he last saw Susan outside her apartment when she got out of his truck at around 5 a.m.
When she left his pickup, she was wearing his sweatshirt and had her black leather jacket draped over her arm.
It'd be easier to come down to the police station.
Clearly, if Brad had dropped Susan off in front of her apartment and she only had to walk approximately 50 steps to the front door and she never made it, that made him a suspect.
If Brad is lying, detectives need to prove it.
Officers, you want to get this area secure, please?
The Montana Division of Criminal Investigation is brought in to help search for forensic evidence outside Susan's apartment.
Along that area, I received a call, request for investigative assistance from the Glendive Police Department.
And they find something suspicious in an alley alongside Susan's apartment block.
We saw drag marks that looked consistent with somebody potentially being dragged as though their feet made those drag marks in the dirt.
You check the garbage cans.
And that's not all.
Below the apartment complex, there was these storefronts. And in looking at one of these, they discovered numerous footprints. Almost as if somebody had been standing there and going back and forth.
What do you got?
Though it could have been something else, we were very concerned about that.
Investigators need to find out who made those prints. And they're in luck.
About 100 yards down the street from Susan Casey's apartment, on the same side of the street, was a branch of U.S. Bank with an ATM cash machine. Attached to that machine was a camera. If there's one thing that can help crack a case, it's a video camera.
Oh my goodness, this could show what happened to her.
Missing mom Susan Casey was last seen in the early hours outside her apartment on April 12, 2008. Investigators have found drag marks and footprints on the ground. And they hope a nearby ATM camera can help fill in the blanks. The bank is just 2 doors down from Susan's apartment and the alley where the drag marks were found.
Yes, I'm very interested in any footage you might have from that camera that you have by your ATM.
Yeah, please take.
The first time we watched that bank video, we were hoping we'd see something valuable to us.
Here it is, yeah.
The bank manager cues up the footage from the morning of April 12th. The camera looks out at some empty parking spots in front of the Elk Social Club, opposite Susan's apartment block. Susan's front door is just off camera, behind the bulletin board. The manager rewinds the tape to 4:45 a.m., just before their suspect, Brad Holzer, says he dropped Susan off in his silver pickup.
It's extremely low resolution, so the picture in the image is not very clear.
Seven minutes pass. Then, headlights appear. A vehicle pulls up opposite Susan's apartment. The lights go off. "27 minutes go by. Then, a red light comes on. It looks like the truck's interior dome light. The headlights flash out of frame, and the vehicle disappears for a moment. Then it drives off, out of camera range.
It's a pickup truck. It looks a lot like Brad's pickup. We don't know for sure that it is, but it looks a lot like it.
The footage is difficult to interpret.
Typically, we're looking for something that shows a sign of a struggle, or identifying somebody, or we see the victim leaving with somebody. We didn't see any of that.
Detectives now have what they believe is Brad's truck on video.
Brad says that Susan got out of the vehicle at 5:19, but you can't see her get out of the vehicle.
Agent Johnson takes a copy to the station for a more detailed review. Meantime, police bring Brad Holzer in for a videotaped interview
406-939.
and grill him about his night out with Susan, knowing what the video shows, and curious if Brad's story will match.
They had driven out to a part of Glendive, out into close to the river.
And we did the same thing we usually did. Dog kissed, stuff like that. All of a sudden it was 4:30 and decided to get back.
Where did you park when you got her home?
In front of that, what's that place across the street?
Elks Club?
Yeah, the Elms. That's I park. And her apartment is behind us and to the right.
Brad said that they sat there for maybe 15, maybe 20 minutes.
Did you go in or?
No. She got out, walked back to her across the street to her place like she normally does. Went back down. Drove away.
He said that was the last time that he'd ever seen her.
There you go.
The ATM footage that detectives reviewed at the bank corroborates some of Brad's story.
We see a truck that matches the description of Brad Holzer's truck pull into a parking spot, the exact parking spot where Brad Holzer indicated he parked. It gave us enough to set our timeline.
But it's impossible to see whether Susan gets out of the truck.
All you can see is the dome light, so we're making an assumption that in fact she got out and walked across the street.
We still have a lot of unanswered questions.
Brad insists he went straight home, just 3 minutes drive away, and was asleep by 5:30 a.m. Police have no option but to call in Brad Holzer's wife, Sam, for questioning.
So now it's of the utmost importance for us to see if in fact she did see Brad sleeping at 5:36 a.m. that morning.
Sam Holzer reveals some unexpected details about their marriage.
And you were at his house? Okay, how long were you there?
I got home at 5:30.
In the morning?
It seems Sam Holzer slept at another man's house last night.
Brad and his wife had a very unique relationship, somewhat unusual. They lived together, they lived under the same roof, but they were still somewhat estranged.
When you got home at 5:30, did you go to... Well, I guess what happened then?
I went in and the bedroom door was closing. And I looked at him, he was in bed sleeping.
Brad now has an alibi.
Everything she told law enforcement was cooperative and supportive of what Brad had said.
But before they let Brad go, investigators call him back in for one final question.
Brad, do you know where Susan's at?
I have no idea where she is. I wish I did.
Okay. Where do you think she is, if you had to guess?
My guess would be Ted.
Brad told us that if anybody knew about Susie's whereabouts, it would be her soon-to-be ex-husband, Ted Casey.
I can't help but think he had to be behind this somehow.
Okay, well, what makes you think that?
Just how he is. He seems controlling. Seems like he doesn't want to let her go.
He thought that Ted had reason. The breakup was not a good breakup according to what he had heard from Susan.
Police dig further into Ted Casey's past.
Officers learned that Ted Casey had been charged with domestic violence against Susan Casey.
Ted Casey was meant to be looking after his and Susan's 2 daughters all night. But CCTV footage may reveal a different story.
Quite frankly, we're looking for Ted's vehicle. Now he's a suspect.
After mother of 4 Susan Casey vanished, new boyfriend Brad Holzer has pointed the finger at Susan's soon-to-be ex-husband, Ted Casey. And police have discovered that Ted has a temper. Police bring Ted in for questioning.
There was abusive past with you and her. Is that true?
Well, probably in her eyes more so than mine, you know.
According to Susan's family, Ted's behavior forced her to end the marriage.
She couldn't handle it any longer because he followed her wherever she went. She just wanted out. And she did. She got out.
Detectives asked Ted whether he knew Susan was dating again.
Somebody told me that they'd seen her in the grocery store with a guy, and they were holding hands and kissing.
So now Ted is very suspicious. Soon-to-be ex-husband, history of violence, concerns there in the relationship.
If you didn't have any involvement in this, we want to be able to prove that.
So where was he on the morning Susan disappeared?
I went to City Hall that morning and stripped and waxed floors.
Ted says he dropped the kids off at his brother's house before heading to work around 5:45.
Did you go straight to City Hall?
Pretty close. I drove by Susie's apartment on the way.
So now it's getting complex and kind of crazy. So here's a soon-to-be ex-husband somebody else who has potential motive to do harm, and he's driving right through the scene of the crime at the time that we're concerned about going to work.
Ted's got to be the guy. There's just no doubt about it. He's got to be the guy.
And the CCTV footage that police already have in their possession might prove it. Detectives queue up the ATM footage to 5:50 a.m., just 31 minutes after they saw Brad's truck pull away. Now, they are looking for Ted's gray pickup. There's no obvious activity on the dark street. A light reflects off the glass doors. And at 5:52, a vehicle approaches and drives through frame. It doesn't reappear again. The low-quality video makes the pickup appear red, but detectives determine that it is in fact gray.
We see a vehicle that matches the description of Ted's vehicle, driving through frame, heading basically towards City Hall.
It doesn't stop, which seemed to confirm Ted's story that he went directly to work.
Detectives follow up with City Hall.
His co-worker for the city indicated Ted got there shortly before 6 o'clock.
Which means Ted is off the hook. For now. But two men in Susan's life at the crime scene at similar times is more than strange. Meantime, Susan's family is struggling to cope with the lack of news.
It was all my parents could think about. They did not sleep. They didn't take care of themselves. It was rough on them.
We had no idea where she could be, where she was. Nothing. It was the wait, and never a phone call.
Back at Glendive Police Department, detectives are scouring the ATM footage for more clues.
It's about 40 steps from Brad's truck to Susan's front door, and she never made it to the front door. That told us that somebody had to be there, waiting there, to grab her within that short period of time.
But so far, there's nothing incriminating caught on camera. They continue to watch the footage from the moment Brad's truck drives away. And notice something. 19 minutes after Brad drops Susan off, they spot a shadowy figure stride down the sidewalk. It's a suspicious time to be out for a stroll.
Why are they out at 5:38 in the morning, walking in that direction, at about the time that Susie went missing?
One minute later, lights reflect off the bulletin board inside. A vehicle drives towards Susan's apartment. Later, lights appear again. At 5:47, the same vehicle drives back the way it came.
Now we feel like we're making a connection to somebody who's on foot, walking, to a vehicle driving through the scene of the crime.
This is the third suspect to be caught on camera outside Susan's apartment. But the footage is too dark and pixelated to ID the vehicle or the driver. To do this, the police need a clear shot of the vehicle.
We started looking around at other sources of video.
And they don't have far to look. Just 30 yards down the street from the ATM camera is the Stockman Bank. And they have a camera.
This could be the answer to the entire case. Simply, let's get the film, let's look at it.
Investigators have spotted a third suspect on camera driving away from Susan's apartment on the morning she vanished. Susan could be somewhere inside this vehicle.
Was she kidnapped? Was she taken?
And now they hope new CCTV footage from a bank 1 block away will identify the driver. Detectives cue the video to 5:46, just before the mystery vehicle drove away from Susan's apartment. Susan's apartment is off-screen left, 60 yards away. At 5:47 a.m., a car speeds past. It's a silver minivan.
There were no other vehicles that were on that surveillance video.
They compare it to the mystery vehicle seen on the ATM footage. There's no doubt about it. It's definitely their suspect.
Figuring out who is driving the silver minivan is our #1 priority.
That's when Susan's family called police with a new lead that could crack the case wide open. Susan's daughter has hacked into her mom's phone after guessing her password. Mariah plays the voicemails from 12:30 a.m., the night her mom went missing.
Please, everybody is very worried about you. Please call me, I'm worried. Please let me know that you're okay.
They came from one person, from one man, and they became more agitated, more upset, more frantic.
If you don't call me back by 1 o'clock, I still need to hear from you, please.
We're not talking like 2 or 3 messages. We're talking 30 or so messages.
And Mariah recognizes the voice.
My father?
It's her biological father, Marty Larson.
Do you know what kind of car he drives?
Yeah, a silver minivan.
The same vehicle seen on the Stockman Bank footage.
So now we've got to look at him as a suspect. We have to look at where was he at the time that she went missing. Where is he now?
Susan's ex-husband, Marty Larson, lives 3 hours away in Billings, Montana. Police in Billings call Marty in for questioning. And Marty has a confession.
The last time you were in Glendive was Friday night.
Marty admits he was in Glendive the night Susan vanished.
What time did you get in Glendive then?
It had to be 4:30, 4:45.
And what did you do once you got to Glendive?
Let's see. The first thing I did was drive over to their apartment. I parked around the corner.
Marty is the person caught on CCTV. Police want to know what he was doing there.
Yeah, well, you're going out with them.
He had last spoken to Susan Casey on April 11th.
Call me when you're home, okay?
She said she was going to stay at Linda's for a little while, and she'd give me a call later.
He fell asleep, but woke up a couple of hours later and realized Susan never called.
Or I texted her. Okay. I waited about 15 minutes or so. There was no response. So I called her. There was no response. And then I thought, I'm going to go up there. I'm going to see if she's okay. Make sure that she got home. Make sure everything's okay.
So 3.5 hours is what it would take Marty to have driven from Billings to Glendive in order to check on Susie in the middle of the night.
Marty says he was outside Susan's apartment at around 5:15 a.m.
And I went in the building. I went up and I knocked on the door. And hoping, she'd come and tell me she was okay.
Susan.
And there was no answer, so I went out and called and texted a few times, hoping to wake her up.
Susan, it's me again. I was just at your door.
So did you ever encounter Susie at all?
No. Okay. I wish I would have seen her.
He says he then drove back to Billings, stopping for gas en route.
So Mr. Larson admitted that he made a 500-mile trip in the matter of a couple hours in the middle of the night.
I have no reason to hurt her. I've never hurt her. I never will hurt her.
Okay.
Before ending the interview, detectives take note of what Marty says he was wearing that night.
Clothing to include jeans, white t-shirt, sweatshirt, Nike, hooded.
These are the shoes I was wearing.
Okay. That's good.
I don't know, 9.5, 10, 10.5.
Those new
Balance.
The footprint of these shoes does not match those found outside Susan's apartment. There's no evidence to suggest that Marty's guilty, and detectives leave the room.
Oh, Susie, where are you? Where are you? Where are you, honey?
With nothing concrete to go on, detectives let Marty go. But now, with 3 men from Susan's life at the scene at the time of her disappearance, detectives need to verify the rest of Marty's story. So they race to a gas station an hour away where Marty says he filled up that morning.
We know he was there, getting gas. This could be vital information in our investigation.
On the exterior wall, they find just what they're looking for. A CCTV camera. All the footage is stored on site and is available to send back to the station for immediate review. Detectives queue up the footage from the early hours of April 12th. They watch from 6:45 a.m., the time they estimate Marty arrived. The camera looks directly out at the gas pumps. Vehicles come and go. And at 8:15 a.m., a silver vehicle pulls in. It's Marty's minivan. He gets out and appears to fill up. Before walking across the lot and into the store. Switching to the interior camera, Marty pays for his gas. He leaves, goes back to his car, and drives away. It's all just like Marty told the police. But there's just one small problem that will blow the lid off the case. Three suspects in the disappearance of missing mom Susan Casey have placed themselves at the scene on the morning she vanished.
We had so many pieces to the puzzle with the men in Susie's life, but none of them were fitting together properly.
So far, video evidence corroborates all of their stories. Gas station footage shows ex-husband Marty Larson gassing up on his way back from Susan's apartment. Marty arrived at the gas station 2.5 hours after he was caught on camera driving away from Susan's apartment in Glendive. That drive should only take an hour.
He left at 5:45, but it's only 70 miles to Miles City, and he didn't show up till 8:15.
Mr. Larson's story just did not add up.
Police wonder what he was doing during that missing hour and a half. Perhaps his clothing will offer a clue.
He had the white t-shirt on, he had the jeans on. But you can clearly see that he was wearing black tennis shoes.
Marty had told police he was wearing white New Balance sneakers that morning.
Marty Larson had not told the truth. So the question is, why is he lying?
Officers, get around back.
Investigators get a search warrant for Marty's silver minivan.
It had been recently cleaned, and on the inside of the vehicle, you could see condensation on the windshield and the window surfaces, as though the inside of the van had been pressure washed.
The cargo area was just soaked with water, and you could actually see scrub marks.
It took a great deal of time to clean the inside of that vehicle.
Nevertheless, in the back, they find something that survived the pressure wash.
We found a single hair about 9 inches long, blonde in color.
It's a match for Susan Casey. But without knowing where Susan is, there's not enough evidence for an arrest.
There's no proof that she had been killed. We didn't have a body.
On May 6th, 24 days after Susan vanished, there's a break in the case.
The person who worked for Fish and Wildlife was on the river, on the Yellowstone River, and discovered a body. Preliminary examination indicated that this was, in fact, Susan Casey.
A broken hyoid bone indicates she was strangled to death. It's the news her family's been dreading.
The whole family fell apart. There was a lot of crying, and the kids were all crying, and it was heartbreaking. I mean, then they knew for sure that, yes, Susie was gone.
It just breaks my heart.
Susan Casey's body was found 27 miles from her apartment, on the way to the gas station where Marty filled up on the morning of April 12th. Detectives now have enough to arrest Marty Larson for the murder of Susan Casey. detectives are finally able to piece together the CCTV from the morning Susan was killed.
On April 11th, I think Marty was keenly aware that Susan had a new man in her life, Brad Holzer.
He watched from a doorway off camera while Brad's truck pulled up. Brad drove away before Susan made it inside. That's when Marty intercepted her.
Just call me back, Susan.
Oh, Marty! Mark! What are you...
He grabbed her around the neck.
Get off of me!
He strangled her. Dragged her into the alley. And he only left after he had killed her. Then he walked back across the ATM.
He got into his vehicle and returned to the crime scene.
He then pulled into the alley, put her in the back of the van, and took off.
Susan's final journey is caught on camera.
The camera footage in solving this case was some of the most important evidence that I've seen factor into a difficult case.
In 2013, Marty Larson is found guilty of deliberate homicide and sentenced to 100 years behind bars.
He was going to get what he deserved for killing Susie.
I just can't understand how someone can do something so heinous. Even to someone that they love. Like, that just makes no sense to me.
He took a piece of each one of our hearts, but he will never, ever break this family up.